Can I let you in on a little secret? The star of our show today is a quintessentially spring ingredient. I'm talking nettles. Yes, stinging nettles. Yes, the thing that you think is probably a weed, and yeah, it kinda is. But what you're missing out on if you're not eating nettles is this minerally delicious earthy green that harkens the spring months. Nettles are so good for you, and paired with creamy, unctuous risotto, we're talking a match made in culinary heaven. So hop on in the kitchen with me, let's get cooking, let's make some nettle risotto. Now I know, you're watching this video and you're like, oh my God, she's so great. Oh my God, all these recipes are always so fire, but you haven't subscribed. So what I'm gonna tell you to do right now is get down there, hit that subscribe button, and join our community so you never miss out on another video. And while you're at it, click that notification bell so you're always notified when we drop a new recipe. If you want a copy of this recipe, check the link down in the description. It'll be linked below just for you. Now, let's get started on making some yummy risotto. Nettles can be very intimidating, like a lot of ingredients, but when treated properly and with care, you'll be fine handling them just like any other finicky ingredient. Now, your secret weapon in your nettle tackling arsenal are these. Gloves are going to ensure that you don't get stung while you're handling the raw nettles. These are my kimchi making gloves. Let me don them for you. You'll want to process your nettles and pick them all off of their stems. To take the sting out of the nettle, we're going to blanch them in heavily salted water. So just make sure that your water is salty like the sea. And once they turn a very dark green, then you want to transfer, using a spider or a pair of tongs, the nettles over to an ice bath. It's not gonna take very long for our nettles to blanch, about 30 to 40 seconds. So just keep an eye on them. And then as soon as you see them deepen in color, remove them from the hot water. While our nettles are blanching, I'm gonna get started on preparing our other ingredients. So I've removed our nettles from our blanching liquid. I've dunked them into an ice bath to let them cool just slightly and kind of get nice and chilled out. After they're nice and chilled, I'm going to blitz them with my food processor until they're teeny tiny. You're looking for like a pesto consistency. You'll blend them in the food processor with a bit of olive oil just to get to that pesto consistency. And then you'll just set them aside until we're ready to add them to our risotto later on. I have some big boys here. I love asparagus season. They're so good for you and they're so tasty, and especially when you get fat guys like these, they're so meaty. Just cut down about less than a quarter of the way up the asparagus to remove your woody stem. I like to separate the tip of my spear here from the rest of my stalk because I like to garnish with the tip of the asparagus, or even when I just fold in my asparagus into my risotto, I like to see the whole spear tip as opposed to just little bits of it. I'm gonna add this to my pot right before the asparagus gets pulled. I will also add in my peas just so they're ready to roll. Again, hot, salty, super salty water to blanch, and then you can just throw the asparagus and peas into an ice bath to stop the cooking process. Super straightforward, and you want the asparagus to be a bright, verdant green just to look more intensely of itself, and that'll take, a minute or two. Off to our pot. While our asparagus and peas are blanching, I'm gonna start prepping our next ingredient, which is just a diced onion. Our asparagus is almost ready. I'm gonna add in my peas just to take that chill off of them from being in the freezer. And then once the peas have been in the blanching water for about 30 seconds, I'll drain everything and throw it into an ice bath. I highly recommend using the same size pot that you need for your stock to blanch your vegetables. You're only needing to wash 2 pots as opposed to a number of pots. Today I'm using veggie stock. This dish is a great vegetarian entree, or if you prefer to use chicken stock, you want your stock to be hot before it hits the risotto to ensure that the rice cooks evenly. So with that in mind, now that all my veggies are done, I'm gonna go ahead and start heating my stock in my veggie pot. For this risotto recipe, you'll need anywhere between 4 to 6 cups of stock. It really just depends on the brand of rice that you're using, and that'll determine how much stock you need. I would just make sure to have a little bit more than less. You want your stock waiting for you. You don't want to be waiting for your stock. Now that our onions have cooked a bit in our butter and oil mixture, we're going to add in our rice. We're going to allow the rice to toast with the onions, butter, and oil. You want all of the grains of the rice to be fully coated in the fat, and give them an opportunity just to toast up a bit before we start adding in any liquid. Our rice has toasted, and now I'm going to add in our white wine. I like a dry white wine like a Pinot Grigio or a Sauv Blanc. You can omit the wine at this stage too and just start with a ladle full of your stock. But if you do like to have that wine flavor, if you do want to add it in, this is the time to do it. I'm going to stir the wine into our risotto, and I'm going to wait for the wine to fully absorb into the rice before I add in our next ingredient, which will be starting to layer in the stock. While our wine absorbs, I'm going to just add a bit of seasoning, a little bit of salt and pep to make sure that everything is seasoned all the way through. Our wine has fully absorbed into the rice, and so now ladle by ladleful, I'm going to start adding our stock. When adding the stock to the risotto, just make sure that each ladleful is absorbed before adding the next one. Our risotto has been bubbling away, and we are ready for the final flourishes. First, we're gonna add a little bit of lemon zest just to brighten up the flavor. Next, we're gonna add in all of our Parmesan cheese. I want to add this before I add any more salt to the dish, just to make sure that after adding the Parmesan, I can adjust for seasoning. But if you add too much salt up front, then you're going to have a salty dish at the end because Parmesan is quite salty. Next, I'm going to add in our blanched veggies, our peas, and our asparagus. And last, off the heat, I'm going to add in some lemon juice as well as our reserved nettles. Our risotto is ready. Let's have some dinner, shall we? I've dished myself up a bowl. Let's try this. With the pops from the peas. And because we blanched all of our vegetables, they aren't overcooked. They're still wonderfully green. This risotto variation is totally worth making. No one likes to blanch vegetables, but it is worth it for this. This risotto, bar none, is one of my favorite springtime dishes. I'm so glad that I got to share a little bit of one of my favorite meals with you today. And if you are so terrified of nettles that you don't want to get stung, fair enough. Make that swap to a kale or a spinach. That works well too. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, like and subscribe for more. Make sure to check out the description box for the recipe. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.